Happy Friday, Liz.
Happy Friday. It's sunny and it's spring. Spring is,
Made it.
it's here.
We made it. We made it through some mama drama this week, all about
Indeed.
birthdays.
Indeed.
So we've also talked about roles, and you've brought it up a few times. Made me think a lot about it. And so I equate roles sometimes with titles. And so I started to think about, what are our roles and why do we get stuck without ourselves? In fact, the question you asked a while back was, how do we avoid sacrificing ourselves so much that we no longer have ourselves? And I thought, and so what are we as self? I started to wonder before we can even understand how not to sacrifice. What are we and how do we hold ourselves? And then I thought through, I am a wife, which is a title and a role. I am a mother, which is a title and a role. I am a professional. So I always had a title at work. I have a title in my company. And so I started to think about, we celebrate holidays, Mother's Day and Boss's Day and
International Women's Day, which I don't even understand why there's one day. It's bizarre.
right. All those things are celebrated and become Hallmark holidays. So what about self? Does that have a day? And all that brought me back to some memories, and they aren't great memories. So I think for me, the memories of two stories are that self can be very much viewed as negative, whereas these other roles and titles are badges of honor and viewed very positively. So my stories are, I was very young and my cousins and I went with my grandparents from Indiana down to Alabama to see family that we never, ever, ever saw. Both of our mothers were from Alabama in the South. My grandparents were, at least my grandmother was. And we didn't get there very often. And this trip was without parents. It was grandparents and cousins. And I don't know, it was probably 7 or 8, and get down there and wild big families and lovely Southern accents and oh, honey, oh, sweetheart. And, all kinds of sweet. There's sweet tea and there's, candy and there's just love and hugs and make yourself at home and whatever you want. And then I'll never forget, my cousins and I went inside and our great aunt had said, just help yourself to anything. Well, the adults were outside on this big porch drinking tea and lemonade and having cookies. And so we all started running around the porch and back through the house saying, we want a cookie. We need a cookie. We want more. And it was a string of us going through. Well, I'm the poor soul that got caught by grandma coming back around and just gripped me and looked me in the face and, how can you be so selfish? And I'll never forget it, thinking, selfish? I'm just doing what all the other cousins are doing. And we were told, help yourself, anything. Plus, we're sugared up like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first time I remember that selfish.
Mm. Wow.
And then fast forward years later, I'm in my first leader role, but I didn't even have anybody reporting to me. So it was one of those key subject matter expert exempt roles, director title, but not really directing people. And my performance evaluation commented on the fact that I use the word I a lot. I accomplish this, I need this, I, and people found that a little off-putting. And I sat there and thought, oh, as an organization, we talk about accountability and needing to raise up what one needs, but also taking accountability for missteps and fails
Mhm.
and miscommunications and 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 so I brought that up a little bit and just said I'm a bit confused because I don't have a team. So many times I do produce a product, and yet I do take accountability when it doesn't go so well. And the comment came back around, oh, we are a Catholic healthcare organization and we are selfless. So it is right to take accountability when things don't go well. But when things are needed or when things are accomplished, we are called to be selfless. So selfless was communicated as an honor and a great way to be. And selfish, obviously, very negative.
That is so powerful. And it's the epitome of Catholic guilt. I am listening to you and I'm thinking, I've done that. I've done that to other women. And I think I've done it disproportionately to women versus men. You know, having a negative association with people using the word I instead of we. Mm-hmm. Ooh.
And yet I get it, even as without a team, I wouldn't be there doing anything without people around me and above me and below me, even people just offering their time to meet with me. So I now get that. But it was interesting to me in reflecting that word self was just, painfully, like slap down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if that's how we grow up, whether it's personally or professionally, thinking self is, well, no wonder we are always believing we should put everyone else first and every other role as a top priority. I don't know that it's always that we just run out of time or don't prioritize well. I think maybe we've been told pretty strongly self is bad. To think about self is bad. There's no holiday for self. You put on your calendar self-care and it comes back as, oh, how selfish.
Oh my God. I'm having such a mind blown moment thinking about this. And it's going to make me really think differently when I'm assigning judgment and meaning to people forging their self-interest. And yeah, I've been thinking a lot about roles too. And as we've talked about multiple times, having kids going into the teenage years, and finding out that they're starting to think that we're not cool and that we're not necessary. And it's developmentally appropriate, right? Yeah. And yet I look at, okay, what do I replace that with then? In terms of self, my identity as a mom. And I think about my own mom who lives with me now. And she had 5 children and she gave up everything for us. She was a PhD psychologist and she gave up her career to help us, especially when we were struggling, which is right about now in terms of the age group that my kids are in. And she sacrificed her job. She sacrificed her friendships. She sacrificed her belief that she could have a positive relationship. She stayed in a marriage that wasn't a good marriage for her. And then we were all out of the house finally. and she didn't have anything left. And she's never rebuilt it. And that is a cautionary tale to me, even as I'm so grateful, because if not for her, I would not be a functioning adult. She saved me from myself time and again. So that's the thing that I'm really trying to explore right now. And your idea of a self holiday, it feels very uncomfortable. It feels selfish. I feel like I will be judged and or should be judged if I'm putting myself first. And yet no one's going to give us a trophy for being a good mom. I just found out about the Supreme Justice in my son's contacts.
Right. And you can't be a supreme mom unless first you're a supreme self.
Amen.
So I think that's what I'm learning from all this is certainly there are ways to proclaim what you need. And you can do it well, or you can bug the hell out of people and they may not like you. I think I've learned enough how to do it well. I've also learned I can't be those other roles if I'm not being myself, and if I'm not being good to myself and not spending time improving myself.
That's so good. You're making me think of this, like claiming my self. And you know how we're going to claim ourselves? We're going to Mexico together. Yay!
Yeah, so the backstory there is Liz and I truly have never met in person. And yet this week we've decided that we're going to be able to go together on a trip to Mexico in July, assuming all COVID vaccines and other are taken care of prior to that time. So that's going to be so fun. We'll be doing video tapings from Mexico for a little while.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. But that concept of self and sacrifice came up as I was deciding whether to do it, because things are just kind of starting to open up here. And it's possible that one of my kids is going to have a thing during that period of time.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, like, what if they're in some dance competition or what have you, or running in a race? And I just decided, you know what? They'll live without me there.
And they will figure out how to start to grow their own little selves without you there.
Wow. Claiming myself. That is what I'm going to focus on every day. What am I going to do today to claim this self?
Because it's good.
Yeah.
It's step one to doing all the rest.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Have a good week. Have a good weekend.
I'll see you soon.
Love you.